All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of College Football Corner. Um, I'm your host, Cooper Stevens, alongside the Honorable CJ Gray. Um, Trent might be joining us later. He's running a little bit behind, but we will see if he will join us. But for right now, it's just going to be me and CJ. So let me first off ask CJ, how are you doing?
I'm great. Me and Cooper here to give you guys the College Football Corner podcast on this nice Friday evening. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Here to give you the word.
heck yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, format for today is going to kind of be similar to what we've been doing. We're going to go over some of the games this week, some of the big games from some of the big games from last week. Then we're going to be going over the top 25, and then we will be making our picks for this week, um, and checking up on who's leading in the standings of the season long pick race for
Gosh,
all
it
of
ain't
us.
me.
It's
It ain't
not
me.
CJ, as I
It ain't me.
predicted. But we will start off with reviewing the games from this past week. And the first one that we're going to talk about is, I would say, one of the biggest upsets of the week. It's Clemson losing to Georgia Tech 24-21. Um, CJ, what do you think about this game? What kind of stood out to you?
Um, I'd say the early turnover from K Club that really stood out to me is what Clemson just really didn't take care of the ball that well and just couldn't move the ball really, which has been like their issue the entire season. Nothing really gets going on offense. Nothing looks open. Decision making isn't great from Cade Klubnik, but it isn't all on him. And I'd say Georgia Tech played a great game, even though it was Clemson's game to lose. I take nothing away from Georgia Tech, and it was a well-rounded game from especially Haynes King, who always plays his nuts off for Georgia Tech. So
Yeah, I agree. This was a good win from Georgia Tech, but I felt like this was more of self-inflicted by Clemson, like yet again. Like just this is the third game in a row from Clemson where just not impressed with what they put out on the field. They had a couple of good shining moments. They were able to have a good last drive in the first half, and then a good first drive um, with the Bryant Wesco bomb. Um, but just nothing really there offensively. I think something that really kind of decided the game was that big long drive that they had at the end of the game that took up a lot of time, and they gave the ball back to Georgia Tech tied with 3 minutes to go, and they really just had nothing, had nothing to go for them there. They were up 21-13. They let or they were up, what was it? They were up 14-13, and then Georgia Tech was able to go get the 2 point conversion, get the touchdown, go up 21-14. They respond, but it took them so long, and you could just kind of see their offense had not a whole lot of juice. And it's been that way all year. And ultimately Georgia Tech able to get the last second field goal. There's a couple of questionable decisions, even with not to take the timeouts late in that game for Dabo and at least give yourself a chance. Um, maybe have 20 seconds left on the clock. I don't know. But just this is more kind of it feels like Clemson losing it than Georgia Tech winning it. But um, I mean, it's just this has been the story for Clemson this year of just not going living up to expectations.
yeah, just Haynes King played an amazing game though. We can't knock Georgia Tech. Um, just your like all run of the mill tough quarterback. Threw for 216 and rushed for 103 and carried the ball 25 times. So great game from Hanks King and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
I mean, this Georgia Tech team kind of runs through Haynes King.
Yeah.
You look at it, he has, I mean, he has like 75% of their total yards. Um, two, yeah, 211, 103, 211 through the air, 103 through the run game. Had 25 carries, which I mean, some of those were probably sacks, but I mean, a touchdown run. He had he didn't turn the ball over, which was necessary. They did not need to turn the ball over. That was their issue in their first two games. They had 5 turnovers in the first half of their first two games of this season. And they didn't turn the ball over. That's what they need. That's what they didn't need to do. And they did it. They were able to not turn the ball over. And they were just able to take care of the football, and just let Clemson play not that great, and they were able to kind of take this one from them. Um, and then you look at Clemson. Cade Klubnik has still not thrown for over 220 passing yards this season. With the receiving core that he's been given, it feels like that's a little bit of a disappointment. They weren't able to run the ball again. They had 174 running the ball, but Adam Randall, he had one breakout run. Other than that, he went 14 carries, 50 yards. Other than that 30-yard run that he had on a third down play where they really weren't going for the run. I believe it was 3rd and 20 something. Cade Klubnik ran the ball 17 times. He really was the kind of center point of this run game for them, and he couldn't really get it going. He had 17 rushes, 52 or 62 yards. He had a touchdown, but just it's just like they can't run the ball, and Georgia Tech's able to defend the pass game so well that it's just like you can't really do anything, and it puts a lot more pressure on Cade Klubnik this year than he had last year when Clemson was able to run the ball moderately well. It's just kind of disappointing. And there's been a lot of talk again of Dabo being behind the curve. And it's just kind of the same stuff that we've been seeing the last couple of years from this Clemson team.
I think part of this loss falls on Garrett Riley as well. If you just watch from a huddle point of view, just nothing looks open when it's called, especially in our not our Clemson's RPO and pass game. It just all looks just like capped off, and just like even when teams are in man, we're not getting any separation from receivers. So it's just I don't know. I can't blame it all on Cade Klubnik, but nobody on that Clemson team is playing great football at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of to end things off for this game. It's like it's kind of disappointing when you look at it, because you look at it and you're like, how does this team improve throughout the year? Like this is the dream that Clemson wanted. Their goal is to kind of build up these guys throughout the first couple years, and they've got a third-year quarterback. They've got all their receivers have a little bit of experience. At least 2 of them are sophomores. I believe Antonio Williams is a senior, and just this is like the dream. They've got veteran guys. They've got veteran guys on defense, veteran guys on offense. And it's still not working. It's still not working. So, I don't know where they go from here. Is it probably better to keep your coaching staff right now? Probably. It's probably not good to go ahead and fire people halfway through the year, but I think some changes need to be made, especially as a Clemson fan. I'm a little bit more biased of just like we need there needs to be change. And Dabo's not going to get fired. I know that, but everybody knows that. But there's definitely going to have to need to be maybe even a little bit of a culture change where for the better half of 15 years, this culture has been working for Clemson. Now they might need to change, because it doesn't seem like these guys are brought in. It doesn't seem like the coaching staff is working for the benefit of this team. So it's just going to have to be a question that we're going to have to look at throughout the year. And you think we thought this year that it was going to be maybe a playoff run for Clemson, and I mean, I don't really see how they can go win out from here with this team. I mean, so it's just going to be a question.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we will head off to our next game that we will talk about, and this one was also a little bit of an upset. but a lot of more people predicted this one. Um, Vanderbilt versus South Carolina. Um, CJ, what kind of jumps out at you for this game, and how do you think it happened?
I'd say, of course, the number one thing, Lenora Sellers getting rocked and getting injured, which obviously hurts South Carolina. He is the saving grace for the South Carolina offense. But I think another thing that Mike is points out to me is just Diego Pavia being 18 for 25, really efficient, 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a good game for Vandy. A good fundamental football game, and he took care of the football. And that's the name of the game when you play a not very good offense and their best player gets hurt. And so no production from them, and they just took care of the football and handled business. So
Yeah, I mean, this was a very interesting game that I thought heading into week 3. I was kind of looking at this game because both of these teams played Virginia Tech, and from a just a straight up comparison, Vanderbilt played them better. Um, but people still predicted South Carolina to win, and it ends up that Vanderbilt takes it home in a really thrashing, 31-7. But it was very methodical. Um, seven points scored in each of the first 3 quarters. They scored 10 in the final one, and Lenore Sellers goes out early, and even then, I mean, you look at it,
with
6
that
for 7,
being that
90.
way, I'd say
Uh,
like I'm not a big what ifs guy, but if Lenore Sella if he just doesn't get hurt in the second quarter, he was 6 for 7 in the past game. Um he was efficient besides his red zone interception that of course turned into a pick six. But um I mean we just don't know. South Carolina isn't as bad as they showed with Lenore Sella
I
with
would like
Lenore
to
Sella
argue
starting.
if he stayed healthy, they probably maybe it's not 31-7, but I still think
Yeah.
Vanderbilt kind of takes this one out
I'd say they
just
still
because
get
of
2 more touchdowns.
the defense just isn't able to produce. Um, Other than Dylan Stewart, I really don't like this defense for South Carolina.
Other
Um,
than the front seven, I mean, Dylan Stewart in the
yeah,
front seven, they're just very weak. They didn't stop the run at all.
yeah, but props to Diego Pavia just having a solid game. He did have an interception, but 18 for 25, like you said, 177, able to score 2 touchdowns. They were able to get that pick six. Um, Luke Doherty didn't do a whole lot. 18 for 27, 148. Um, just kind of managing the game, and you can't really do that when you're down. Um,
Managing the game with the offense you have around you, that offense is built for a playmaker at the quarterback position, and they just need more from him. So
and I mean, this kind of goes back to what I predicted at the beginning of the year of like if Lenore Sellers goes down or if he gets hurt, which most likely he will be because he's going to have to run the ball. He's going to have to get creative. He's going to be on the run. This South Carolina team doesn't have a good, promising future. So, I mean, for this year, it's just kind of keep Lenore Sellers healthy and see if you can maybe make the playoff. I think for next year, though, you have to build around Lenore Sellers. He might even go to the draft this year because I know he redshirted his first year, sophomore, or he was a redshirt freshman last year. So, I mean, he could technically go to the NFL draft this year. I think in the age of NIL, he'll probably stay. But if you keep Lenore Sellers another year, you have to build around him. And South Carolina's kind of seeing now you can't just have Lenore Sellers go out there. He's one of the best players in the country, but you can't just have him go out there by himself. I feel like,
yeah, that was a case of having no help, but it has been for the past 2 years. So, and he's managed it well.
yeah.
This is the first time he's had I'd say, major injury besides the one against LSU. So,
And now we get to see if Vanderbilt's for real. I think it's very interesting. I think Vanderbilt is kind of similar to South Carolina in a way of they have a star quarterback. They have a couple of guys that I feel Cedric Alexander I think is a okay running back. Um, Eli Stowers obviously the big the big receiving weapon there for Vanderbilt being the tight end, but I think for this Vanderbilt team. It's going to be interesting. They're kind of similar to South Carolina in a way. They have Diego Pavia being their main star. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate the SEC. If they go 10-2, could Vanderbilt make the playoffs? I mean, that would be crazy.
That would be a crazy turnaround. If you
Yeah,
watch the SEC documentary on Netflix, the Vanderbilt coach, he is very prominent on turning Vanderbilt around. So
yes. I do like Clark Lee. I think he's the best thing
Clark
to
Lee
happen
is
to
a very
Vanderbilt
fiery head
football.
coach.
I
Yeah,
think he's the best thing to happen to Vanderbilt football, maybe ever. So, but
it'd be hard
I
to
think this is
disagree.
I think this is the year for Vanderbilt to kind of prove it or shut up. This is something to build on, and you got the rest of the season to kind of work on it.
Great potential to be 4-0 next week as well,
Yes,
playing Georgia
yes,
State.
yeah. Hey, they struggled against Georgia State last year. They lost,
That is
so that's
true.
going to be something to look out for. And then they go and beat Alabama the next week. So
That is true, yeah. And then South Carolina with a pretty tough game playing 23 ranked Missouri.
yep,
So
with Lenore Sellers questionable,
I'm about to say with him questionable, we don't know. So
we'll see. We'll see. But now we will move on to the most lopsided game we'll talk about here. It's a top 20 matchup this week. South Florida versus Miami. Um, uh, CJ, what what kind of stood out, I guess, in this game to you?
I mean, we just know it was very one-sided. Going into the week, we all thought USF would put up a show just because of the showing they showed against Florida. We learned that Florida just really wasn't that good as a football team. So Miami being the top 10 team they are, they just handled business.
Yeah, I mean, this was a prove it game for Miami. I felt like South Florida's no cupcake. I mean,
Carson
I
Beck,
still
I
think
will say, is playing a lot better than I thought he would. Coming off the
yes,
UCL injury, which didn't really know how his arm talent was still going to be, and him as just being his
yes,
regular pocket passing self. But he's looking really good this year. So
yes. I agree. But I mean, I still think South Florida is a contender for maybe a Group of Five spot.
yeah,
They,
they're
you know, they
definitely the best Group of 5 team by far.
they
They
they have
have
a ranked win.
they have
You
multiple
know,
ranked wins.
they have multiple ranked wins. Yes,
Yeah,
and it's going to be. I mean, they're no tough cookie. So I think Carson Beck just really efficient. He goes 23 for 28, 340, three touchdowns. He did have two interceptions on the day, but um, able to convert most of his passes. Just and this is a really pro style offense that I really like. Carson Beck's not a runner, but he has a running back, and Mark Fletcher, who was able to run it really well today as well. 16 carries, 120, two touchdowns. Just really efficient, and I really like this Miami team. I think they played super well against Notre Dame. Obviously, first week of the season, and now they're kind of just tuning up. And now they get to play Florida this week. I think that's going to go not great for Florida because
no.
Miami's just really solid, and I think this
DJ
is more.
Lagway with 5 picks last game. By the way, for those who didn't watch, it was.
Uh,
I'm all for advocating for the quarterback to say if a pick isn't the quarterback's fault, it's not his fault. His QBR was atrocious, and I'd say every pick was a result of bad decision making.
yeah,
So not very good.
I mean, I believe if he would have spiked the ball every single time, I think he would have had a better QBR than he ended up having.
He honestly would have. We're not joking.
Yeah,
It
that's
got pretty bad.
but But I mean, I think this game is more of a statement for Miami than it is for like. I think a lot of people will take away from this game. Oh, USF, they weren't for real. Yada yada yada. I mean,
Honestly, I think that game goes different for USF if it wasn't such a prove-it game for Miami.
yes. I mean, you
If
look at this. There was so much hype for USF
yeah,
after what they did the first
game
two
day
weeks
was
of the
almost
season.
at
Yeah,
Miami. So
yeah.
I just
I think it. I think it's kind of interesting. They're at Miami this week for Miami,
Yeah.
Florida. I would have went to Miami, South Florida last week if they were just going to do that. Like,
Me
I mean,
personally, I would have stayed at Tennessee, Georgia. Me being biased, I'm a Tennessee fan, but that
whatever.
was obviously the best game of the week, and they made the right choice. That
Yeah,
was
they
the
did
best
make the
game.
right choice, but if it, I mean, it was just such like a hyped up game. It felt like more than it was going to be if South Florida played just two duds, and I feel like this game goes a little bit different if there's not as much hype. I feel like
Yeah,
Miami was kind of felt like they had to prove their stuff, and they did. And I think Miami is a really solid team. And you kind of look, I mean, their schedule, it doesn't set up well, in that they're going to have not going to have a bye week. I feel from like the last couple, like they're going to have a big stretch down the stretch to end this season, but I think you know, their schedule isn't going to be too tough. I think this is possible 12-0 territory. We'll see. But I really like this Miami team, and they really did prove their stuff. Uh, so I think this is going to be um, a team that we're going to have to look out for here for national
Miami has something to
championship.
prove, being 10-2 last year and missing the playoff after they
hmm
arguably could have been in. So
And I think since Clemson kind of takes a step back, and I think Georgia Tech's now the only other team I mean, that really kind of looks like they're competitive. I think
I
this
could
could def-
see 3 contenders for the ACC championship between Clemson, Georgia Tech, and NC State. So I mean,
and Louisville's a little bit. Louisville's in there too. Um,
yeah, the
with
ACC
Miller
is always just
Moss,
a
I
toss
think
up because the
possibly Miller
talent level,
Moss and
yeah,
yeah.
the
So
talent pool in the ACC is
and
always
Isaac Brown.
relatively the same, except for Clemson always being like a step ahead
Yeah.
usually. But Georgia Tech has been under the arms of Haynes King. They've been pretty well the past 3 years. So
Yes. All right. Well, now let's move on to arguably the second best game of the week. Maybe even the first best game if it wasn't for
no,
Georgia.
no.
Okay.
Wait,
I don't
wait.
know.
We're
I
talking about
thought that
Tennessee, Georgia, right?
no, we're talking about Texas A&M Notre Dame.
I thought so. So no, no, no.
No. Okay. All right. Well, I personally think that this was a really good game. But I'll start with UCJ. Um, anything kind of stand out to you about this game here?
If I'm being honest, since we were at UT Charlotte on site, I watched none of this game. So all I know about is the box score and the stats. So
Okay. Well, I will. I mean, I'll kind of tell you. I mean, this was a really closely matched game. I think Texas A&M able to pull it out in the end. I think that Marcel Reed, kind of inefficient, really. 17 for on 37, 360, two touchdowns, an interception. I think CJ Carr honestly
wow.
probably played um, the better game quarterback wise. Texas A&M though able to have an explosive second quarter. And this really was it was really kind of it was 28-24 at the half and in the second half it was really um, kind of more defensive. Jeremiah Love able to get back to kind of a little bit of the same 23 carries, 94 yards, a touchdown. Um, not as much as you would want to see from him, but he did split carries with Jadarian Price. Um, so overall, I think Texas A&M they were able in the end to it really came down to one mistake from Notre Dame, the botched extra point. If they just hit the extra point, they go to overtime. I think this was a really evenly matched game, and I think it's really unfortunate for Notre Dame going 0-2, going
Against 2 great teams too.
against two great teams. I think CJ Carr still is really a great quarterback. He's really proven himself just in the level of play he's had um, over the last two games, and I think he's not been helped out with the lack of a run game. Uh, they were able to do a little bit better today than they were yesterday, but or not yesterday, but the last game, and it's just kind of unfortunate that that's what he's been dealt. But I mean, this Notre Dame defense didn't stand up. Neither of these defenses really stood stood tall, and you would have kind of felt that Notre Dame would have had um, the better defense, and they just weren't able to contain Marcel Reed. Um, and it's just kind of that's kind of the way this game turned out. Um, you look at you look at penalties. Texas A&M had 13, 86, 13 penalties, 86 yards. It's just kind of inexcusable not to take advantage of that. Notre Dame had the time of possession, even on turnovers, but even with all of that, Texas A&M still able to pull it out. Props to Mike Elko. Props to Marcel Reed, who I think is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And so we'll see where Notre Dame goes from here, because 0-2, you don't have a conference championship to win. It's really tough to kind of compete for a playoff berth. They kind of got to win out from here.
Winning out 10-0 for them is possible.
But
They
it is
never
possible.
have looked bad. CJ Cards looked very well.
Yeah.
Just unfortunate schedule. So
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the game of the week, I
game.
guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I'll let CJ start this one off. CJ, what were your thoughts on Georgia versus Tennessee?
So this one hurts to talk about as we did lose the game. I still love Max Gilbert. He's a great kicker. Just a tough situation, tough miss. But Joey Aguilar played, I saw a stat, the best first half of football by an SEC quarterback in the past 20 years. And I wholeheartedly agree. It was an amazing performance. I think he was, because of the intentional grounding call, a pass wasn't dropped or missed for the entire first half. And an all-around great game from Joey Aguilar. Chris Brazzell again, 3 TDs. Just a great game offensively from Tennessee. Our freshman corner got targeted hefty times throughout the game. Us just not having Jamar McCoy in our lineup that day just kind of screwed us over on defense. But it was a great game, and Gunner also played great as well, as I hate to say it, but just uh a very hard game to watch.
Yeah.
But also great to see because we are a playoff team. So
Yeah,
just kind of sad.
really efficient first half from Joey Aguilar in this Tennessee offense. You just kind of watched them like march, and it was a really good start for Tennessee. They were able to hit their deep shots. They said they were going to do that, and they did that. They were able to run the ball pretty decently, and it just kind of looked like poetry in motion for the first half. But then it kind of started to slow up this Georgia defense that you know we kind of know to be dominant. Started to kind of seep through. 2 interceptions in the second half for Joey Aguilar, turning the ball over. Just not what you want. Not what you want. Um, uh, and overall, kind of one of my concerns with Tennessee was their defense, their secondary. They were able to target that really well, and you kind of see that through Gunnar Stockton having 304 and Georgia's rushing attack, which they really couldn't rush it as much as they would want to, just because of the way that Tennessee was scoring. They do still run for 198, but Nate Frazier, 14 carries, 73 yards. Not too bad of a day for him. Gunnar Stockton running the ball a little bit. But just Gunnar
Just
Stockton
them,
able to, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, just them attacking Ty Redmond on the
Hmm.
first play of the game just showed their them setting the tone for what the day was going to be. Just testing our freshman corner.
Yep. I mean, simple. I mean, simple as that. I mean, it's just the secondary is not able to hold up and it feels like, and even uh, okay, he's back.
All right,
All
there you
right,
go. He
all
just
right,
kicked
but
me.
yeah, that was crazy. But I mean, yeah, the secondary not able to hold up, and even and with the injuries, it even brought it out to be more of a concern.
Yeah,
But the front seven able to hold strong. Um, at the end of the day, I mean, if he makes the kick, Tennessee wins this game. I don't think Tennessee played a bad game at all. This is not something you kind of look back on. It's just kind of one focal point for Tennessee. Um, and I just think Tennessee's offense is so good that they can be able to recover from this. And obviously, they did have some injuries. So in the secondary. So they'll be able to recover from this. I think if a kick goes one way, kick goes another way. Tennessee's 3-0. They're in the top 10. You know, I mean, if they're able to score another touchdown early in the second half, we're talking about this different. So there
yeah.
was a
We
lot
didn't
of things
score
that
for a quarter and a half.
yeah,
Just
like
things that can't
if
happen. We
like
could have
just a
won
lot of things a lot of
regardless.
things had to go Georgia's way to to get it to overtime. So just pretty 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 just kind of crazy set of circumstances there. But Tennessee just defense not able to hold up as much as they would want to.
Just
Yep.
sucks.
Yep. Well, all right. We will now head off to. We're gonna look over the top 25 for this week, heading into this week. So I'll I'll go ahead and start us off as CJ maybe pulls that up. But Ohio State's still the number one team in the country. You I mean, for right now, until they lose, it feels like they will be the number one team in the country. Penn State right
Undisputedly.
behind Penn State right behind them. That's arguable. Um, but LSU at 3 still. Miami and Georgia move up one from their wins, and Oregon kind of gets knocked down because of that, which that's arguable as well. Um, Florida State moves up 3. Texas moves down 1. Um, and then to round out the top 10, Illinois, Texas A&M. Texas A&M moves up 6 spots from their win against Notre Dame. So just looking at the top 10 right here, CJ, what would you change about this top 10?
Honestly, I think the committee got it spot on. I think, me personally, Texas is still too high in my opinion, but them being in front of Illinois and Texas A&M is just right. You could argue Oregon moving down 2 spots, but I'd say other than that, the committee got it just right.
Yeah. I think for this top 10 for me, I think Penn State still I think is too high. They haven't proved a lot this season. If you're looking at just
Could
how
be true.
the product looks on the field, um, this season for Penn State, I mean, they look good, but I don't know if they're the second best team in the country compared to LSU, Miami, Georgia, and even Oregon. I mean, Oregon has a debate for being the second best team in the country. Just saying. They have more of a debate than Penn State does, I feel like. So,
Hmm.
um, I think, and I mean, even Florida State. I mean, you look at it. I mean,
All right. You're reaching.
I'm just saying,
You're
like,
reaching.
I'm not. I don't think that's a reach. I think they have a better
Oh, you're
case.
reaching just a
They have a
tad.
better
I
case
won't
than Penn
lie.
State does. Penn State. I mean, you look at even the quality of opponents they played. They haven't blown them out.
I
Um,
was just thinking that same thing. I mean, you could make that argument, but I mean, it's just they can't really control their schedule.
I
So
mean, you know, they can control how much they beat them by. They can
that's
control how
also
they
true.
play.
Me personally,
So
I think you could move Georgia up in front of
yeah,
Miami. Um, Honestly, looking at the coaches poll every week, I try to steer away from it, but the coaches poll always seems a little bit more accurate in my mind than it would be on the in the AP Top 25. Just saying. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'd say other than Penn State being a little too high, I think this is pretty spot on for the top 10. Maybe I would say if kind of looking down too, I would move some of these teams up, like Texas A&M, like Oklahoma, Iowa State. I think I would move them up over Illinois. I think Illinois had one decent performance against Duke, but I haven't really seen a whole lot from them. It's just kind of they got put at 12 to start the year, and now they're just kind of getting moved up because they're winning. I think that's why they're up there so high. But anything else from this top 25 that kind of stands out to you as you're kind of looking from 11 to 25, CJ?
I think the committee got this so right as we stay at 15. Tennessee does
Uh-huh.
because we know we should have won the game. If we do win that game, I think we see ourselves right around like the 11 spot. Georgia probably moves back to 12. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good list so far. Again, going back to the coaches poll, I find it interesting that they still have South Carolina at 24. Um, but yeah, I'd say the rest of this list pretty much checks out. Vanderbilt could arguably be higher, but I think they got this pretty
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I can point out a couple things. Just Alabama being above Tennessee, I think is very questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the loss that both of these teams have, and it's
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it.
I mean, the Tennessee loses in overtime to a top 5 team, and Alabama gets blown out. I mean, not completely blown out, but I mean,
I'd say a
still,
pretty
it's
embarrassing loss
an
to
embarrassing loss. And
to a number 7 team.
They beat Wisconsin this week at home, and Wisconsin's not that impressive of a team. I think they're going more off brand name. I think their defense was hyped up. I don't think it lived up to the test. If you've got a good defense, you're going to play good against any team. Like Iowa's not
Yeah.
letting up all these points to all these teams. I mean,
Defense is a game of adjustments as well. So I mean,
yeah,
you just would like
like
to
it,
see some type of defensive adjustment from Wisconsin, but we never
I
really
think,
saw it. Shout out to Antoine Turner though. Shout out
yeah,
to Antoine Turner.
I think Ole Miss maybe shouldn't be as high. I haven't seen. I mean, they've played two bottom barrel for the SEC at least teams, and they've barely scraped by against them. I don't think they should be that high. I think maybe Utah should be a little bit higher. Georgia Tech, I think, finally in the rankings. I don't know why it took for them to beat a
Yeah,
mediocre
that's
Clemson team to get them here, but they're here now, and I think they should be higher. But what do I know? Indiana, I don't know if they should be in here just yet. Vanderbilt, I think, is properly ranked.
it feels like
Mich-
with the Indiana rank, I feel like they're just kind of like reaching for a team that could take the spot of Clemson, but I don't really see Indiana being all the way at all the way at 19. So
Yeah, I mean it's just because they made the playoff last year. Like that's why
yeah.
they're there. It's based off of last season's results, and it still is because they haven't done anything to prove that you know they're not there yet. But there's a bunch of 3-0 teams that didn't do anything last year that could arguably be better than Indiana this year. So it's just kind of a situational thing. Um, Michigan being at 21, I don't think is right. I still think they shouldn't be ranked. Um, I think Auburn should be maybe a little bit higher, but they're getting up there. Missouri, I think is properly rated. Notre Dame, I've kind of thought about it. I didn't like an 0-2 team being in the top 25. I still don't. I mean, I don't care that they played two really good teams. They shouldn't be in the top 25. They haven't won a
I think
game.
that's where we disagree because you still have to think in this like certain way of they're in front of teams that they would beat. I do think they would beat USC. Notre Dame has played two really decent games. It just happens to be against two really good teams.
Yeah,
So I think the argument for Notre Dame at 24 is just fine, but depending on how they play against Purdue this week, we'll really just see where they stand.
yeah. Um, I mean, looking at it, I think overall this is not a horrible ranking, but I think you could argue Mississippi State being in here, TCU being in here, you know BYU being in here, Tulane. I think Tulane playing Ole Miss this week is going to be kind of their prove it game, but I think Tulane should should be in the rankings. I think they've played pretty good over this first couple of weeks. They've beaten Duke, Northwestern, and now they're playing a third Power 5 team in Ole Miss. So that's going to be something to kind of look out for.
Wow. TCU no ranking. Jeez.
Yeah.
They could
All
be in
right.
over Indiana, in my opinion.
Honestly. All right. Well, we will head now to our picks for this week. We will see if Trent will join us for the picks. But yeah. I will go over what happened last week. In the picks, you look at it here. Me and Trent both went 11-7. CJ goes 9-9. For the total to be 31-17 for both me and Trent, and then 28-20 for CJ. So me and Trent still tied. CJ slipping behind a little bit. Looking at some of these notable games, I was able to pick Texas A&M and snipe that win. They both thought Notre Dame was going to win, and they didn't. Me and CJ both picked Duke over Tulane. I think I'm done not picking Tulane this year.
Yeah, me as well. I just think there's been so many upsets that just have not gone my way.
Yeah.
I was happy about one upset this year, and it was USF because I like Byron Brown, and I'm happy to see him win and get some recognition. But I'm not really enjoying these Power 4 teams just not handling business against very subpar football teams. So it's early in the season, though. So I guess we didn't really know what anybody was going to look like. So now we know.
Yep. South Carolina and Virginia Tech both lost. Virginia Tech losing to Old Dominion. They got blown out. They are 0-3.
Like that.
That is crazy. I was the one that kind of pulled the trigger on Old Dominion and Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I picked you up in the car and I said, I'm going to pick Virginia Tech, but it's going to be a great game because, I mean, Old Dominion always has a great game with Virginia Tech.
Yep.
So
Pitt loses to West Virginia. We all lose there. We all picked Troy as well. Memphis beat Troy. I picked Georgia to beat Tennessee. I get the victory there.
Get out of here, Max. Once
biased.
Max Gilbert gets locked in, we're gonna see it. Just again, we all picked Troy. I think that just really shows how bad Clemson is this year.
Yeah, we all picked Clemson. Clemson loses. Colorado loses there as well against Houston. Huh?
Did you pick your team there for Clemson or no?
I did. And we all lost. Yeah. So, I mean, not really the best week picking wise. We haven't done as good. We haven't done good since the first week. It felt like we all went 11-4, and and since then we've barely been over 500 with our picks.
It's because we're seeing great games, but it's just like we don't really know like how it's going to toss up. Like Tulane
CJ's gone 17-16 over his last 2 weeks.
It's just
unbelievable.
It's just like a lot of this, to all of our fans out there, the very few we have at this time, it's a lot of this is based on luck at the moment because like it's early in the year. You just like we watch film, like we look at teams, we try to debate who's going to win this. It's just you really don't know. Like Tulane beating Duke, that's just kind of like a who would have thought? I mean, who knows?
That's crazy. All right. Well, let's get to our picks. We might have to get Trent's picks tonight, maybe. But we're going to start off with Texas Tech versus Utah. This is a ranked matchup. I'm going to go first here, and I think Utah's blowing Texas Tech out of the water. I think that Utah is a really, really solid team this year. Devon Dampier, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and I think Utah's going to roll here.
I think the same. Devon Dampier. I don't really think it's going to be much of a competition. Give me Utah, hopefully by like 3 scores or more, so I can get first good win of the week.
Okay. All right. Next up we have an interesting matchup: Arkansas versus Memphis. Looking at this game here, this could go Memphis's way. Memphis had a solid showing against Troy last week, but I'm gonna go Arkansas. Taylor Green had a really good showing against uh Ole Miss last week, and I think his star power, he's going to be able to overpower this Memphis team. And I know it's going to be on the road, but I think Arkansas is going to be able to pull this one out.
Give me Arkansas as well for the exact same reasons. I just think some decent showings. Memphis with a good win against Troy, but give me Arkansas.
All right. Next up, we have Syracuse versus Clemson. CJ, I'm going to throw this one to you first because I don't know who I'm going to pick here.
This might be like, I won't say it's the best game of the week, but this is like a battle of the orange. This might be the most evenly matched game we have. Cade Klubnik looks a little rough in the last start. Just Garrett Riley not really scheming up. I'd say a great offensive game plan for Clemson. Give me Syracuse. I'm going to switch up on the Tigers this week. Y'all have been giving me any wins.
Okay. I'm gonna go Clemson because I can't pick against Clemson, but yeah, wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse was able to pull this one out. There's been issues before with Syracuse playing at Death Valley. We've been able to pull them out before. I don't know.
Y'all have, but every time I use my logic that way in these picks, I find myself losing. So let me.
I don't know.
Steer
this
away.
is gonna be an interesting one. We'll see. Hopefully Clemson's able to maybe manage to pull this one out. We'll see. Next up we have SMU versus TCU. And so this was
TCU.
interesting. This was interesting just because SMU was ranked. They lost to Baylor, but there's still kind of maybe a chance that they could be making a playoff push here. We'll see. But TCU's been really impressive so far. And I'm going to go TCU here.
Yeah, I'm going to go TCU. They've been bulldozing, so I'd be wrong to pick against them at the moment.
Yep. Next game we have is going to be Oregon State versus Oregon. And not really even going to entertain this one. I'm not going to. I got Oregon.
Just not a lot to talk about here. Just give me Oregon.
Oregon State's had a pretty disappointing start to their year. 0-3. Malik Murphy not able to produce a whole lot. CJ's going to go Oregon too. But yeah, now
we could go ahead and write Trent down for Oregon as well. Cause God.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and maybe you might want to switch it up, but we'll see. But we'll write in Oregon for everybody there. All right, Auburn versus Oklahoma. One of the most interesting games of the week. Jackson Arnold's homecoming. Looking at this game, I think John Mateer, Oklahoma's strong offense comes to mind. I think Auburn, though, also as well has had a pretty sneaky good start to the year, and I'm going to go Auburn here. I like Cam Coleman. I like Eric Singleton. I like Jackson Arnold. I think he's a good dual threat quarterback, and I mean, a lot of people are going to pick Oklahoma here, but I think Auburn's going to be able to overpower them multiple ways with their offense.
This is a tough choice. I can't even lie to you. But I want to take Oklahoma.
Okay.
Jackson Arnold homecoming. Me last week probably would have said Auburn. Sorry, Ty Buster. Shout out to Ty Buster too, but
shout out to Ty Buster.
Yeah.
Shout out. But next up, it's Tulane versus Ole Miss. And
If I pick against Tulane again and I get this wrong, I might crash out.
I know I just said I would not pick against Tulane. And I'm not going to. I'm going to pick Tulane here.
Wow. Wow.
I don't like the way Ole Miss has started out their first couple games. They barely beat Kentucky. They barely beat Arkansas. Austin Simmons has a little bit of an interception problem. And I don't know. I think if it could get out to a good Tulane start, I think Tulane can pull off the upset. And if Tulane wins this game, they are in the front runner seat for a Group of 5 spot. So, yeah, give me Tulane here.
I have to go Ole Miss. Tulane's upset me twice, but
okay. All right. Next up, we've got Michigan versus Nebraska. And I think this is kind of a
let me get it.
catalyst.
Give me Nebraska. Give me Dylan Royola. They're gonna win this game. I'm a huge Dylan Royola fan. Bryce Underwood has looked. He hasn't looked like the number one quarterback from a high school class. Like
yes,
comparison, Trevor Lawrence did back in 2017?
2019.
Oh, I was.
Or 2018 was his first year.
Yeah.
I
was thinking of his high school class. So 2018. Bryce Underwood was the number one in the class of 2025, and he just hasn't looked like a very promising quarterback. So for that reason, give me Dylan Royal and the Huskers.
This is kind of, I feel like, a catalyst in the season for Michigan, where if they lose this game, this is just going to go downhill. This is going to be another 6-6 year. If they win this game, they still have a chance, I feel like, in the playoff race and in the Big Ten race. But I'm gonna go along with you. I think the one thing that's going to be key in this game for Michigan is the run game. And you know what? Actually, I'm going Michigan. And here's why. I think Michigan's run game is going to be the deciding factor of this game. I like Michigan's run game. I like Justice Haynes. I like Bryce Underwood. I think if he can be able to just manage the game and just make a couple plays and use his talent. I mean,
but that's the thing. That's not Bryce Underwood. It's either we're gonna do too much and succeed, or we're gonna do too much and underperform.
I think Nebraska's not going to be as. I mean, Nebraska's never been that high power of an offense, even with Dylan Raiola. So, I think Michigan stands a good chance in this game, and I'm going to pick them here.
This really just depends on how good Nebraska's going to play in their front seven.
Yep.
Michigan, a very good run blocking line as well. I'm still going to stick with Nebraska, though.
Okay. All right. Next up, we're going to do Purdue versus Notre Dame.
I think Josh Pate picked Nebraska, too. I might be mistaken.
I'm gonna go Notre Dame here, obviously. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say here, but just I think Notre Dame's looked good over the last 2 weeks, even though they've gone 0-2. And I think that CJ Carr is going to be able to really show his talents here against this Purdue team.
Yeah, Notre Dame with a false 0-2. I'll go Notre Dame.
All right. Next game up we have is UNC versus USF.
UCF.
I think you're going to go UCF here. Okay. I think UNC's got a good shot at this game. I think USF has not looked good over their first couple games. And UNC hasn't looked that great either, but I do like Gio Lopez. I like his possibility of being good, and I think there's more potential.
That's a reach.
There's more potential, I feel like, here with this UNC team than the USF team. And so I'm gonna go UNC here.
I'd like him if he was good. Nice.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I'm gonna go here. I think that's a coin flip game. And I think this is two really bad teams just going at it,
Okay.
and we'll see.
South Carolina at Missouri, though, with Lenora Sellers being questionable, we don't even know if he's going to play tomorrow. I think he will, just because of who he is and who Shane Beamer also counts on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
But with him being questionable, and with South Carolina not being very promising on the defensive side of the ball either, or the offensive side, I'm going to go Missouri.
Yeah, and I agree with you here. I think Missouri's looked pretty solid with Bo Perubala over this first couple of weeks. Um, I don't think South Carolina's gonna play good in this game. If they can't play good against Vanderbilt at home, don't really think there's there's not going to be like a good reason for me to pick them here when they're going on the road against Missouri with a questionable, at the least a hurt um, Lenore Sellers. So I'm going to go with Missouri here as well.
And I hate picking against Lenora Sellers because I feel like he is one of the best players in the country. So
Yeah.
just not much talent around him.
All right. Next up, we've got Florida versus Miami. And this is not really going to be that big of a talking point for me, at least. Miami, I think, is going to roll here. I think like I said, I love Carson Beck, or I love Carson Beck this year. I love Carson Beck this year. I love this Miami team, and I think this is going to be a blowout.
I'm going to pick Miami as well, but I'd love to see a bounce back week from DJ Lagway because 5 picks is a very hefty game to come back from. So,
Yep. All right, next up, this is possible game of the week: Illinois versus Indiana. 9 versus 19, top 20 matchup. Um, I think looking at this game, I think Illinois got it. I think I do like Luke Altmaier. I think they are going to be on the road, but I just haven't seen a lot from Indiana. But this is really going to be the first game of the year for both of these teams where we're going to see what they're made of. So I'm going to go Illinois here.
I think I'm just going to go with Luke Altmaier as well. I mean, 9 versus 19. I'd say Luke Altmaier's been rolling. So, then again, I haven't seen a lot from Indiana, like at all. And I don't think they deserve to be ranked number 19 right now anyway. So,
Arizona State versus Baylor is our next game that we're going to be picking. Very interesting game between two Big 12 teams who have lost to middle of the road SEC teams, Auburn and Mississippi State. I think other than that, they've looked okay. I'm going to go Baylor here. I like this Baylor team. I like Sawyer Robertson. I like this offense. And I've not been impressed with Sam Levitt over this first couple of weeks. And I think Baylor had a good win against SMU, and I think they're going to have a good win here against ASU. So
I will
that's
no
what I'm
longer be
thinking.
picking on the side of Sam Levitt. I saw first game of the season against Northern Arizona. It's just ASU isn't very impressive on the offensive side of the ball or defensive for that matter. They're just an okay team both ways. I'm going to take Baylor.
Okay. All right, and the final game that we will be picking tonight is Michigan State versus USC. CJ, we'll go with you first here. Who do you think?
You mean Mr. Riley, USC.
Okay. I would agree with you here. I do like USC um, to win here, but I do think that Aiden Childs and Michigan State will have a chance. It's just going to be on the road in California.
Yeah, but I say this is in SoCal, so
Yep. So I think that this is going to be a good win for this USC team, and I think this could be a building block for them in this season. So with that, our picks are done. This show is coming to a close. Is there anything that you would like to end off on here, CJ?
honestly, I'd just like to stack up some wins this week because I've been lacking. I won't lie. So
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
I've been lacking.
I would love to build a lead maybe against Trent. We'll see. We'll get Trent's picks tonight. You'll see him next week. We should be back to our regular scheduled programming on Wednesday night at 7. Kind of had a difficulty this week getting the show in, but thank you if you watched. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the YouTube. Drop a like on this video. Be sure to keep an eye out because we'll be doing some other videos and some projects on this channel soon. Subscribe or follow the TikTok. Keep an eye out there. We'll be posting some more on there, and go and follow our Instagram. Those are both going to be CFB Corner. This one's College Football Corner. The other two are just the abbreviated CFB. So thank you for watching. We always have fun doing this. So thank you. And we'll see you next time.